are the best safeties in the NFL today. Welcome, football fans, to another BLV NFL Rankings video. In this video, I rank the top 32 NFL safeties entering 2025. The safety is the versatile weapon of a defense, the last line of defense. He's the man that can blitz, that can roam, that has range, that plays with physicality. They tackle, they cover, they do it all. The safety is the unsung hero of modern defense in the NFL. So if you're excited for my top 32 NFL safeties, then Gronk, spike the like button, show your love, because that's the only way I know you like these rankings videos. If you want more, like secondary rankings, defense rankings for all 32 NFL teams, then Gronk, spike that like button. Before I get started, I do have an announcement. I have released the first ever video. I'm excited. The first ever video on my second BLV channel. That's BLV Beyond. This is a channel focused on video essays and deeper NFL discussion, like film, for example. I just released a Shedeur Sanders film session from week 1 of the preseason. So go check that out. It's the first ever video. I would love if you support me over there, and you probably should if you want deeper NFL analysis from me, more NFL content from me. If you like this channel, you'll love that channel, BLV Beyond. Go check it out, guys. It would mean so much to me, so thank you so much for riding with me. Let's get to my top 32 NFL safeties. We're staying with rankings here on the Bottom Line View, and we're going to get it with the safeties. Let's kick it off at number 32. And of course, guys, let me know your opinion in the comments, whether you think a guy's overrated or underrated, or if I just missed a safety altogether. Let me know in the comment section below. At 32, I have Malik Mustafa, who probably would be a spot or 2 or 3 or 4 higher. I included him at number 32 because he is injured to start the season. And it felt unfair to rank him at like 29 or 27. So I might as well just throw him in at 32. I believe Mustafa is going to be the next great 49er safety. What I saw from him as a rookie was unique. He brought presence. He brought physicality. He brought fire to the 49er secondary. And I think Robert Saleh is going to unlock this guy to the next level. Mustafa can really come down and play the run, and he can knock your block off, and he also has enough range and just general instincts to play in coverage. Mustafa was really impressive as a rookie. I'm intrigued to see him back on the 49ers, and I think this is going to be the next 49er favorite on defense. So Malik Mustafa is my number 32 to kick off the list of top 32 safeties. At number 31, the man that I included last, he's a late entry to the list. Like I said, Mustafa's on the list. I didn't know where to put him because of the injury. But with Josh Matelis, I included him due to an injury. I have to address it. CJ Gardner-Johnson is part of the reason this list wasn't out earlier, because I had to reorder it and establish who my 32nd man would be. And it's Josh Matelis of the Minnesota Vikings. What I like about Matelis is I can't even really tell that he's a safety. First of all, he doesn't really wear a safety number. He kind of looks like a special teamer or a linebacker on the field. And he honestly has the width and the size of an extra linebacker, which makes him extremely versatile inside Brian Flores' defense. For a while, I thought he was a linebacker. He basically plays like a sub linebacker, a little bit of box safety, but he's always around the ball. That's what I love about him. He's always around the ball. He's physical, he can tackle, and he is a gamer. It just feels like he always gets his hands on the football. He's also a leader, a captain for this team, a tone setter for this team. You can tell that he leads through his communication, his intelligence, and his passion. So Josh Matelis was my 32nd man, and I have him at number 31. At number 30, Jaquan Brisker. Somebody that was injured last year that I think will play great this year is Jaquan Brisker. And I wanted to put him higher. I'm a huge fan of his game. I felt like in the games that he did play last year, he was very good. I think he only played like 5 or 6 games off the top of my head. But to me, he is a really good box safety. He just anticipates. He reads the offensive line, run schemes exquisitely. He shoots into the backfield, and he is a great tackler. He rarely misses a tackle, and he just always seems to be able to fill that lane, take the right angle, and he just blows plays up in a unique way for a safety. He comes down from a deeper position and can make plays behind the line of scrimmage. He also showed some growth in terms of his coverage assignments, his overall coverage fluidity, and he is a bit of a playmaker in terms of when the ball is in the air. He can definitely come down with it. He's a bit bigger, and he's a bit imposing at the safety position. Hopefully he can stay healthy. He has had some concussion issues. As long as he can stay on the field, I think this is going to be a premier safety in football, and probably this season, the best safety on the Chicago Bears. Watch out for Jaquan Brisker. He's definitely a riser in my opinion at number 30. At number 29, Kevin Byard, also of the Chicago Bears, back-to-back. Byard was excellent last year in terms of his overall volume of plays and contribution to Chicago. He had, I believe, the most tackles of his career, and this guy's been in the NFL for a minute. He had the most tackles of his career in 2024, over 100, if I'm not mistaken. And we know that Kevin Byard plays with extreme, obviously, experience, intelligence, and doesn't have the range that he used to have, doesn't have that step explosion to break on the football that he used to have, but still incredibly savvy, right? Aware, assignment sound. And it felt like he was closer to the football, and he was able to make more plays than he has in previous years. Like, he was able to make more tackles, more stops, and he was actually blitzing more off the edge than I ever feel like I've seen him before. So, felt like Chicago kind of unlocked an element that we've never really seen from him. He used to be that ball hawk free safety in his past, but perhaps he's lost that speed and that range. And the Bears kind of figured out that he can still be useful more so in the box, more so making plays because he still is a machine in that regard. So, very smart player, great communicator, great leader of Chicago secondary. Kevin Byard still getting it done. I got to include him at number 29. At number 28, Cam Binham, the dancing man, now in Indianapolis. Cam Binham is pretty much the classic free safety. He is, I would say, in a non-classic fashion, a little bit bigger, longer. He's got some good size to him, but that's pretty much where he lined up in Minnesota. He was deep down the field, taking away the deep shot, breaking on the football across the middle. And I felt like one of the best skills from him was his ability to play the ball in the air, his ability to use his size and his length and that advantage to be able to break up passes, get interceptions, and obviously he brought a ton of energy to the Vikings. In other years, he's also been very good in terms of racking up tackles and being active in his responsibility to make a tackle, get a guy down. So Binham has shown a little bit of flexibility throughout his career to be a playmaker, to be somebody that plays with range and intelligence, to not give up the big play, but then also a guy that can make a lot of stops and a lot of tackles. So Binham, I'm really intrigued to see in this defense with, a new scheme, a new look, new personnel around him. How does that go? The Colts obviously felt like he was worth it with the contract they gave him. So looking forward to seeing Binham in a new place. But at number 28, I have Cam Binham. At number 27, Quinton Lake of the LA Rams. Now, technically, Quinton Lake is a nickel, but I kind of think of him as a safety because he doesn't really play a lot of man coverage, and the Rams rarely play man coverage. So a lot of the times you'll see Quinton Lake utilized almost as like a box safety, but he is also a leader. He is one of the smartest players, I feel like, in the secondary in football right now. Like, I just feel like he's always in the right position. He's not physically that great. Like, he's not that fast, that quick, that strong, that big. But it feels like he's just always flowing to the football in the right way. He's always making the tackle and seemingly never misses them. He makes a lot of stops near the line of scrimmage. And he seems to always be in the lanes, the passing lanes to make a play. I just feel like he's incredibly smart, incredibly savvy, plays with really high IQ, and he's perfect for the Rams defense. He might be a little bit physically underwhelming, which is why he doesn't rank a little bit higher. He's certainly not going to lock down a ton of slot receivers, but I feel like he could play all over the secondary, especially in the middle of the secondary, safety, nickel, and just a very reliable player. So that's why I have Quinton Lake at number 27. At number 26, Jaylen Thompson of the Arizona Cardinals. Thompson has had flashier seasons than he did last year. He had 4 picks in 2023, and he has consistently been somebody that has just been a good player. And that's why he makes the list, to be honest. He's not somebody that racked up a ton of picks last year. He had 0 last year for the second time in his career, and the only other time was when he only played 5 games in 2020. Right? But he still had 98 tackles. He recovered 2 fumbles. And overall, Thompson is just a good player. And we've seen him play free safety. We've seen him play strong safety, as in box safety or, free safety. So I kind of feel like he has that versatility to play either or, and he can be effective either way because the Cardinals like to use him to complement Budda Baker. So Budda Baker is often let free. He's the guy that just roams around, does what he wants, doesn't, really have responsibilities as much as others, and he's just the playmaker of the defense. Meanwhile, Thompson is the more responsible member of that safety duo, and he's often the guy not giving up those plays down the field. But we've seen them kind of play with their roles depending on coaching staffs. He's played more in the box in years past where he's racked up 120 tackles. We've seen him play free safety. We've seen him have interceptions like 4, 3 in different seasons. So I just feel like he's had an incredibly well-rounded career of showcasing his versatile skill set. And he's just a good, reliable safety. He's not phenomenal, but he's good, and he's a great complementary piece to one of the best safeties in football. At number 25, Harrison Smith of the Minnesota Vikings. Harrison Smith is still a good football player. He's like 1,000 years old, but he's still getting it done. Harrison Smith's not what he used to be, obviously, but there are few safeties that are smarter. There are honestly still fewer safeties that make as many interceptions as him. It feels like every year he comes down with 3 or 4 picks a season because he's always in the right spot. He always is able to read that quarterback and make a play. And obviously, he's a reliable option to make a tackle. And I just think he's so important, especially for a Brian Flores defense, to communicate, get everybody in position, safety rotation, right? All the coverage rotations they do, the different disguise blitzes. He's somebody that throughout his career has been able to play near the line of scrimmage, deep at free safety. He's shown incredible range. He's one of the taller safeties in football. But Harrison Smith, he's basically had a Hall of Fame career. He's still a really good player. I have him at number 25. At number 24, Elijah Molden of the LA Chargers. I love Elijah Molden. I'm a big fan of his game. I think he's very underrated. Elijah Molden has played corner at times in his career, in college especially, but then transferring to Tennessee, he's played nickel corner, he's played safety. I feel like he's a great fit for the Chargers and what they do because they do a lot of funky stuff in their secondary. They often ask their safeties to be kind of like the glue of their defense. And they often play 3 safeties on the field at one time. And Molden is just, I think, a really talented player where he's very aware, very smart, very sound, but you can have him play man coverage because of his corner skills. I think he's good, in terms of like reading concepts, reading opposing receivers, the quarterback. I think that Molden is just really sound in coverage. He covers up a lot of space. He's got good speed, good athleticism, and he's a sound tackler in terms of like taking the right angle. Not going to kill a guy or anything like that, but he's certainly somebody that, can come down and play the run. And it feels like you could put him at the nickel position. You could put him at free safety. You could put him as a box safety. Like, it feels like he just has a lot of versatility and a lot of range to his game. So that's why I really like him at number 24. At number 23, Kayon Bullock of the Houston Texans. A rookie last season who I think had 5 picks on the year. He's a playmaker, right? That's what he proved as a rookie. Has that great range, instincts, and ball production. And that's a player that screams potential for years to come. The Texans do have multiple guys that can make the tackle. They have a lot of psychos on their defense, whether it be linebackers or safeties. Jaylen Petri is an example of that. But Bullock fills a rare or different role for this defense in terms of being the guy that can cover the middle of the field. The post safety, the guy that can be the one that takes away the deep shot, the one that does support Kamari Lassiter over the top while Derek Stingley plays on an island, or just the ball hawk, right? So I feel like he plays an important role that is opposite from a lot of the guys around him within this defense. He's not the one running around with his head cut off. He's the one making sure that those guys don't get caught. So Kayon Bullock, really good range, really good playmaker, really good instincts. I think he has a really bright future. So I have him at number 23. At number 22, Reed Blankenship, an example of a very responsible player and a very sound player. He's not going to scream at you, especially in comparison to a lot of the Eagles defenders. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean are far more athletic, right? Quinyon's a shutdown guy. Cooper DeJean's more of a playmaker than Blankenship. Obviously, you have Jalen Carter. You have Zach Bond. Nolan Smith is a speed demon off the edge. You have so many guys that are taking your attention on this defense. Blankenship is that unsung hero. He's the guy that can play deep down the field and cover up, whatever it be the responsibility that Vic Fangio gives him. Match the receiver on the quarters, or whether it be, just to be able to take away the middle of the field. He's very good at reading and reacting to the ball across the middle. He oftentimes jumps the ball when it comes across the middle in the deep portion of the field. But he's often like, when the Eagles play really well, you don't even see him. Like, you don't even really notice him. Like, when the Eagles defense is playing really well and their coverage is really sound, Blankenship's nowhere to be found a lot of the times. So that's an unsung hero. That's a safety. He's the last line of defense. He truly is that for the Eagles, but still has enough production and really good tackler, like just a really responsible player. Oftentimes those guys don't get enough credit, but he's very consistent. So I have him at number 22. At number 21, Nick Cross, a safety that makes plays, makes an impact. You do notice Nick Cross every week watching the Indianapolis Colts. I believe he was like top 5 in the NFL in tackles. I think he led all safeties in tackles, if I'm not mistaken. And he also forced multiple turnovers, of course. This is just a guy that gets after the football. He flows to the football, flies to the football, however you want to put it. I was a pretty big fan of him coming out of college. It's nice to see the early development in his career. And he definitely had a breakout season in 2025 or 2024. And I believe he will even break out further in 2025. I'm intrigued in his new role in a new defense, in a new scheme. But overall, what I appreciate about his game is he's just all over the football. He's all over the field. There isn't a play where Nick Cross feels like he's not involved. So definitely a guy that plays with incredible instincts, incredible fire, and passion. So Nick Cross, still growing, still getting better. Really excited for the future of his game. At number 21, at number 20, Malik Hooker of the Dallas Cowboys. Malik Hooker is a very well-rounded free safety. He's got very good coverage skills, very good instincts. He breaks on the football extremely well. He can come up with ball production, right? Malik Hooker didn't have an incredible statistical season last year. He only finished with 2 interceptions, right? 81 tackles. But I just think like Malik Hooker is one of the more underrated free safeties in the NFL. He started off his career as a really high-end prospect, and seemingly people kind of forgot about him. But the last like 4 or 5 years in a row, he's only allowed less than an 85 passer rating in 4 consecutive seasons, according to Pro Football Reference. So he's somebody that just like does his job and plays with great, just great range. So the classic free safety type. He's not, I feel like, a guy that will play for a ton of tackles. He actually had the most tackles of his career last year. Part of that could have done or been a part of like the defense where they changed responsibilities and or due to the change in scheme. But I just think Malik Hooker has just been very consistent in coverage. Just like every year, he comes up with some picks, but overall, he just doesn't give up a lot of completions. He doesn't give up a lot of big plays. And that's the type of safety you want on your team. So Malik Hooker at number 20. At number 19, Talanoa Huanga of the Denver Broncos. Still love his name. But Talanoa Huanga is really difficult to rank, obviously, because of the injuries the last couple of years. I kind of feel like he's a bigger name than he has been in terms of the overall player production, because he really only had one great season. That's it, really. Like one great season where he was debatably the best safety in the league in terms of production, interceptions, tackles, and just watching him play with incredible fire and just sideline to sideline relentlessness. And that's what makes him a very potential-based player. Like at his peak, Hufanga is a assassin of a safety. I love those type of safeties, right? Reckless abandon all over the field, playmaker, popping the football out, laying a big hit, range to pick the pass off. If they get that guy in Denver, forget about it. This could be the best defense in football in 2025. But there's obviously the downside of the way that he plays, leading to injuries. And also, he is a little reckless in his responsibilities as well. He does tend to go for the big hit. He does miss the odd tackle because of that. He does tend to go for the big play in coverage where maybe he does lose his responsibility or try to, just make a play constantly. So there is a lot of pros to that, but there also are cons to that. And that in combination with the potential injuries that exist, that's why he's only at 19, but his potential is top 10. Like, there's no question about that. We've seen him play at that level before as a first-team All-Pro. At number 18, I have Deshaun Elliott of the Pittsburgh Steelers. One guy that surprised me the most when watching his highlights and his tape from the past season was Deshaun Elliott. He is awesome. I really like his game. I mean, I always liked him previous to Pittsburgh, but he really broke out in 2024. In terms of just his responsibilities against the run, his run support was exquisite last year. I felt like he was one of the best run support safeties in football. He could lay the boom. He plays with passion, physicality. He plays with an ability to overpower you and pop you behind the line of scrimmage, but also pretty good in coverage too. Especially as that box roll, he was unleashed in Pittsburgh. Minkah Fitzpatrick was more that post free safety type, while Deshaun Elliott was roaming, covering tight ends, covering running backs, making plays behind the line of scrimmage, blitzing, getting his hands on the ball. I really like Deshaun Elliott. Really impresses me. I think he's one of the most underrated safeties in the NFL. At number 17, Trayvon Morg of the Carolina Panthers. Trayvon Morg. Right? Why do I feel like I'm saying his name wrong for the first time ever? But regardless, Morg has had an interesting career. He was touted as the best safety product or safety prospect of his draft class. And then all of a sudden, early in his career, kind of struggled. Then a little bit, as he started to get his feet wet in the NFL, you started to see his impact. And I think the closer he's gotten to the line of scrimmage, the better he has been. At free safety, yes, he has enough speed and he has enough ability to make some plays deep in coverage, but I felt like that was a poor utilization of his actual skills. I think that he's better as just a playmaker. I think he's better at filling gaps against the run. I think he's better at tackling along the line of scrimmage. I think he's better when he's able to play just free and his ability to tackle. And that's why I think that Carolina, brought him in and signed him. Because, yeah, he can make plays in the secondary. He can cover. He's got enough range to do that. And there's certainly some great, great highlights of him breaking up passes, flying across and batting the ball down. There's certainly all that sort of stuff, even occasionally covering a tight end or something, or like lurking on a crosser. There's those sort of highlights, but I think his ability to fill in the run game is why Carolina wanted him, because they were so bad against the run last year. So I think that he brings a lot of impact and pop for the Panthers in that run game area. So at number 17, a guy that's played some free safety, deep safety, a guy that's played box safety, and I think he's found his home in recent years, and I think he's really going to prove the Panthers right with this contract. I think he'll make an impact, especially against the run for them. At number 16, we have Deshaun. I already talked about you. Ammani Hooker at number 16. Ammani Hooker, I think, is one of the most underrated free safeties in football. He's got the ball production to prove it. I think he had 4 or 5 picks this past season, and he's ended up with 4 or 5 interceptions multiple times in his NFL career. He's just got really good read and react and diagnose abilities as a free safety. He just understands when to break on the ball, route concepts coming his way, how to get underneath the ball and just make plays. And one of those guys that oftentimes you won't really notice if you're watching a game because he's not always around the ball. He's not always at the line of scrimmage blitzing. He's not somebody that's making the tackle behind the line of scrimmage against a running back. He's not that type of safety. So a lot of his stuff goes unnoticed, but what he does best is not allow guys open, on those crossing routes, being able to play the post really effectively. And obviously he comes down with an interception every once in a while, and he can make those game-changing plays. So I think Ammani Hooker is just really responsible in coverage, but also adds an element of game-breaking capacity in terms of his playmaking skills. So Ammani Hooker, really, really underrated in terms of the safety position. Next, we have at number 15, Jaylen Petri, who is basically a nickel corner at this point. He's played safety in his career as well, early career, young career. But Jaylen Petri, I love how he plays. He is a dog. Like, simply put, he is a dog. He's an excellent hitter, an excellent tackler, great blitzer. He provides a lot to a defense in terms of the guy that's going to always play with 110% passion, physicality, fire. When he goes down or he's not available, they're missing something. They're missing that Swiss Army knife, secondary, just absolute, no holds barred, beat you down player. Like, he is no regard for his body. Like, Jaylen Petri makes a ton of plays at the line of scrimmage, plays behind the line of scrimmage, and he's so quick. Like, his coverage abilities, his quick and lateral quickness and agility make him very good in the short, intermediate levels of coverage, which makes him an excellent nickel corner. So at number 15, Jaylen Petri, who I wouldn't be shocked if he had an even better year this year and really became like a top 10 safety / defensive back in football. At number 14, Jabrill Peppers of the New England Patriots. Jabrill Peppers has lost a little bit of that quickness and speed, but man, Peppers really does a lot for the Patriots. First of all, he is a tone setter and a very good leader on the field for the Patriots in terms of his ability to play with passion and energy, his ability to make a big hit, come up with a tackle. But Peppers, is a crazy guy because early in his career, it kind of felt like he was a bust, right? He was drafted as this guy out of Michigan who played running back, played safety, was seen as a first round lock prospect. And I believe he got drafted in that first round out of Cleveland. And eventually, he's become better and better and better with age. I think because he's kind of honed into his intelligence and his responsibilities and his smarts as a player, and teams have figured out how to best utilize him. I think he's best utilized as a box safety. He's best utilized as a guy that can come down and lay the wood and make a big hit. He also, I think, is somebody that rarely at this position nowadays is actually feared across the middle of the field. He makes big contact. He's not a great overall man-to-man coverage guy, but as a zone defender, he seemingly is always in the right spot, and he is a very good playmaker. Obviously has, ridiculous athleticism at one point. I don't think he still has that quickness or that speed, but I think he plays with like an intimidation factor that is pretty real, and he plays with a lot of strength, a lot of power. So Jabrill Peppers is at number 14, the tone setter of the Patriots secondary. At number 13, Justin Reid of the New Orleans Saints, formerly of the Chiefs. Justin Reid has been one of the most underrated defensive backs in football for the past couple of years, hugely crucial to the Chiefs' success. Justin Reid is one of my favorites in terms of he can cover a tight end. He's really good in tackling in space. He plays with incredible urgency when the ball is, in a yak situation. He gets to the football. He rallies. He pursues better than most guys. And I think is just been incredibly versatile. He can play the deep range of safety, free safety. He can play box safety. He can play one-on-one shutdown guy. He could probably play nickel position. And he can play box linebacker type guy. Like, I feel like Justin Reid just has really good range to his game, very high IQ, very good tackler. I've seen him slow down tight ends in games. I've seen him make incredible tackles and stops. I've seen him have game-changing turnovers. I think he's a very big loss for the Chiefs. He's a very good player. Very good pickup for the Saints. At number 12, Brandon Jones of the Denver Broncos. Brandon Jones was unleashed in Denver this year, complementing, their secondary with Pat Surtain. He was that roaming safety playmaker. I saw him make a lot of plays against the run, a lot of plays even blitzing, using him in a unique way. And I just felt like Brandon Jones made plays all over the field. I think that's what secures him to be this high on the list, is I saw him make pass breakups and interceptions, towards like deeper sidelines. I saw him make plays over the middle. I saw him make plays at the line of scrimmage. There's just not a lot of safeties I feel like that I've talked about where I can say they can cover all quadrants and all levels and all skill sets of a safety. He's not an incredibly big hitter, right? But good tackler, really sound coverage player, always responsible, and a playmaker, makes a lot of plays. So at number 12, Brandon Jones. At number 11, Minkah Fitzpatrick. I'm looking forward to seeing Fitz or Minkah in Miami again because I think he'll be better utilized than he has been in Pittsburgh in previous years, where I think he was just too far away from the football in the last couple of seasons where they were playing a lot more man coverage, and that position is not as sexy, right? Like, ask Devin McCourty. You're playing post safety. You're covering up. You're lurking on crossers. You're maybe going deep to cover, double team a guy, right? It felt like Minkah just wasn't close enough to the line of scrimmage, being able to make enough impact plays. Like, it felt like he just wasn't utilized to the money they paid him. And I think in Miami, they're going to use his skill set in terms of his playmaking, which is what he's always been known for. His lurking capabilities, his pursuit, and I hope that's what happens, So they obviously traded Jalen Ramsey for him. It's an interesting question who you would rather have. I feel like Minkah's been a little overrated the last couple of seasons, but I haven't given up on this guy. I still feel like at his best, he's one of the rangiest safeties in football, one of the most versatile defensive backs in football. We'll see if Miami can get better out of him in 2025. At number 10, entering the top 10, Javon Holland of the New York Giants. Javon Holland also didn't have his best season in 2024, but in 2025, he's now with the Giants, and there are a few that just possess the athleticism and the skill set of Javon Holland. I feel like this guy has made a play in every way, shape, and form in the NFL. We've seen him return 100-yard interceptions. We've seen him sack the quarterback, tip the ball at the line of scrimmage coming on a blitz. We've seen him force fumbles. We've seen him cover with range, speed, athleticism. I think that from a skill set standpoint, he might have the most upside at the free safety position. It's just that he needs to be more consistent, more available, and hopefully more productive for the Giants. But talk about a guy that could be a steal at the safety position this free agency. It might have been Javon Holland. This guy at any given point could be a defensive player of the year candidate because he has that type of skill set. I'm not kidding you. At number 9, Julian Love of the Seattle Seahawks. Julian Love he maximizes everything he's got. He is very smart. He is very calibrated. He always makes the tackle, and he is a playmaker. He's a playmaker. He's a leader. He's a presence. He's a captain. Julian Love is just the safety you would want to have on your team. I feel like he could play free safety. I feel like he could play box safety. I feel like he can cover tight ends. He's just really smart, and yeah, I mean, really underrated. He was good with the Giants. He's great with the Seahawks. I feel like he's really peaked these last couple of years, and Mike Macdonald's getting the most out of him. So at number 9, love me some Julian Love. At number 8, Kirby Joseph, the ball hawk of the Detroit Lions. Kirby Joseph just seemingly was all over the football last year. I couldn't even deny how well he played last season. Kirby Joseph was among the league leaders, if not the league leader in interceptions last season. He just, the guy just every time Detroit had a pick, it felt like it was Kirby Joseph. Whether the ball was tipped in the air, he was lurking on the ball, breaking on the ball. I think he does a great job of complementing what they do with Brian Branch. They move Brian Branch around. He could play nickel. He could play in the box. Kirby Joseph's the guy lurking over the top. They're playing man coverage. He is lurking, right? So Joseph plays free. He plays with his eyes on the ball. And man, in that responsibility, he is fantastic. He is fantastic. He just seemingly has a sense for where the ball is going to go and be. So Kirby Joseph, absolute ball hawk, baller, gamer at number 8. At number 7, I have Antoine Winfield Jr., one of my favorite players in football, one of my favorite defenders in the NFL. I do have to rank him a little lower this year because of the injuries, and I didn't think he played as well as he's capable of last year. I think partly due to injury. He's a top 5, top 3 safety when he is good to go and healthy, but I felt like last year just guys deserve to be higher than him. But Winfield, man, he's played box, he's played free, he's played nickel. He can man up on slot receivers. He can blitz. He can tackle. He plays with energy. He plays with a ferociousness. He plays with an intelligence. He plays with a confidence. I love this guy. I mean, I've always loved this guy. He was my favorite coming out of college. I thought he should have been a first-round pick. The Bucks should have, they got him in the second after they picked Tristan Wirfs. He has been one of the most transformative and influential picks that the Bucks have made to their franchise in recent seasons. Without him, I don't think that they win the Super Bowl back in 2020. I feel like, without him, this defense doesn't become what it becomes, and he's been maybe the best player on their defense in a couple of seasons here. So at number 7, got a lot of love for his range, a lot of love for his game, Antoine Winfield Jr. At number 6, I have Budda Baker, who's very similar to Antoine Winfield in his game. Budda Baker has been so good for so long now, seemingly. He's been one of the best defenders and one of the best defensive backs in terms of playmaking in the NFL for seasons. This guy plays with fire. This guy plays with absolute reckless abandon. He is one of the best tacklers, one of the biggest hitters, one of the just craziest defensive players. Like, he's just all over the field all the time. He plays with incredible anticipation, incredible pursuit. He can play. I feel like he's better in the box. I feel like he's better pursuing the ball. I feel like he's better blitzing. I feel like he's better closer to the line of scrimmage. The closer he gets, the better he is, despite his size. But he can still cover with, the best of them, because I just feel like he has great ability to just explode and break to the ball, and break up passes. And I think what I like about Budda the most is the energy, the leadership, that he plays with. This is a guy that makes everyone around him better because of the standard that he sets with his down in, down out ferociousness. So at number 6, Budda Baker. Entering the top 5, I have Brian Branch at 5. I love Brian Branch too, man. Brian Branch is one of those guys that he can shut down a slot guy. He can play free safety. He can play box safety. He can play any position. You know, he's a little smaller for the safety position, which is why I think he plays more nickel and closer to the line. But his quickness and his explosiveness from a horizontal agility perspective, not speed, but a lateral standpoint, is arguably the best at his position and in the NFL. His ability to lurk on those horizontal routes, take away those quick concepts, and then just tackle, hit, make an impact. He is the guy that Detroit just asks when they have a hole. You know, Brian, can you do this for us this week? Can you do that for us this week? He is their assignment, their weapon player on defense. So at number 5, incredible player. At number 4, I have Xavier McKini of the Green Bay Packers. Xavier McKini, he has proven to be big time for the Packers. He was a very good player with the Giants. He's still incredibly young, which is one of the crazy parts, but he is one of the best ball hawks. I think he's one of the smartest safeties in football in his coverage responsibilities. And last year, he just took his game from a playmaking standpoint to the next level through the roof. And I felt like he was kind of the identity of the Packers defense. Like, their pass rush was kind of pathetic last year. Their run defense was good, but it felt like their identity was playmaking. Their identity was turnovers. And McKinney was the center, the heart of that Packer defense. Very versatile as well. I've seen him play as a box and a free safety in his career. He can shut down tight ends too. Like, very good player. I think he is excellent. He has truly turned into an elite player year in and year out for the Packers. At number 3, I think the 3 standalone best safeties in the NFL, without a doubt in my mind. At number 3 is Jessie Bates. In my opinion, the best pure free safety in football when it comes to range, when it comes to speed, sideline to sideline flow, when it comes to picks, interceptions, breaking on the football downhill. Jessie Bates is an incredible player. Playing with reckless abandon on contact, flying to the football. Jessie Bates is just that dude. You're not going to see him around the ball or the line of scrimmage as much, but he is always somewhere lurking. And quarterbacks got to be paying attention to where he is, because he moves to the football at a rapid rate, and he covers up so much ground and so much space. So he's arguably the Falcons' best player. He's that good. He's arguably their best player. They have some really good ones like Bijan and Chris Lindstrom, but Jessie Bates is right beside those guys. He's awesome. At number 2, I wanted to put him number 1, but at number 1, it felt like just I couldn't not put him number 1. But man, I love Derwin James. Derwin James is one of my favorite players in the NFL. When Derwin James is playing like Derwin James, there are just few players in the NFL, in NFL history, that can do what this guy does. I think Matt Judon described it best when he said, like, he literally makes every play for this defense. Like, every play. Big time interception, big tackle, and just tackles in general. He gets them all. He scoops them all up. But Derwin James, man, he's a competitor. He's a really great leader. I think at this position, he might be the best leader. He has great energy, great vibes, and on the field, he can shut down the best tight ends in football. He's a assignment player, right? He can play in the box and make as many tackles as anybody. He can play free safety. Like, I think he's also better closer to the line of scrimmage, because you're just going to get the most out of him. He's going to punch the ball out. He's going to lock down a tight end. He could probably play against bigger wide receivers or slot receivers. I think in terms of that man capacity, he's excellent. And yeah, he's just awesome. Like, he plays with a combination of power and fluidity that's hard to find. So at number 2, Derwin James. At number 1, Kyle Hamilton of the Baltimore Ravens. He's more so at his peak and in his prime than Derwin James. But Kyle Hamilton, he is the answer to the test. If the Ravens need a nickel, okay, Kyle Hamilton. They need a box safety, okay, Kyle Hamilton. They need a free safety like they did last year. Let's not give up the big play, Kyle Hamilton. And the thing that makes him so special is even if he's playing back, in the secondary, he still has so much range. And his read and react, his intelligence is second to none. Like, he sees where the ball is going to go. He flies to the football. He's an incredible tackler. He's a freak of nature in terms of his size, his wingspan, his height. He's not incredible man-to-man like Derwin James, but his zone capabilities in all areas is off the charts. He can play as a sub-package linebacker. He could probably set the edge because he's so big and long at linebacker. He could probably do that. Like, you could just put him around wherever you want, and Kyle Hamilton's going to make the play for you. So that's why I have him at number 1. I think he's the best safety in football in terms of responsibilities, in terms of range and versatility, and in terms of overall production. Kyle Hamilton is my number 1. Those are my top 32 safeties in the NFL entering 2025. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, Gronk spike the like button, and guys, don't forget to check out BLV Beyond, my second Bottom Line View channel. Go subscribe over there. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next rankings video. Peace.